Hey, what's going on everybody, and welcome back to another Ready or Not video. Before we get into it here, I'd like to shout out my partnership, Buy Games Cheaper with Instant Gaming. The affiliate link will be down below in the description if you guys want to check that out. In this video, we're going to be briefly covering the new campaign commander mode for the Ready or Not 1.0 release. We're going to be going over the roster system along with skills, officer therapy, how to manage officer mental health, and adequate officer skill options for optimal performance during your campaign. Now, we won't be going through every skill in its entirety, and we won't be showing off its benefits and how it performs in game. However, we will be briefly covering options for your skills that you can utilize in your campaign, and hopefully this knowledge will assist you in your first playthrough. Firstly, we're going over the SWAT officer roster and how to recruit new officers. If you skipped reading through the tutorial tips for whatever reason, to open the roster, you're going to want to go ahead and hold tab to open your tablet, which will immediately show the roster screen. The roster system can look a bit overwhelming at first glance, but it's pretty straightforward here. You'll notice that you already have officers assigned to your unit, and unfortunately, you don't have the option to pick your team straight away. However, you do have the option to hire an additional officer, which you can add to your current team if you wish. If you'd like to swap an officer on your team with a different officer on your roster, all you have to do is click on the officer you want to swap, and then click on the officer at the bottom that you'd like to swap them with. Keep in mind that if these officers go down during a mission, they will have permadeath. In order to recruit more officers, you do have to progress with the campaign. You cannot just replay missions. These officer slots will only open up after you complete a mission and progress. Choosing skills are based on your personal preference, but you can only use 4 skills at a time, 1 per officer, so choose them carefully. Your officers will unlock these skills every 1 to 2 missions. I believe it took me about 2 missions when I first started off fresh campaign, and then after that, every consecutive mission, I would unlock a different skill for another officer on my team. One thing you need to understand and be prepared for is that commander mode will severely punish you for choosing to not utilize any less lethals. Now, I am of the opinion that the game should be played using a mix of both lethals and less lethals. For those that don't know what these are, I am talking about a mixture of lethal firearms like rifles, pistols, and SMGs, hence lethals, and this is the typical loadout for most players. Along with this, to mix it in, less lethals would include tasers, beanbag shotguns, and pepper ball launchers. Your goal would be to try your best to take suspects in custody by using the less lethals when appropriate with a mixture of grenades like flashbangs and stingers. In the event that a suspect poses a threat to civilians or officers, you would utilize lethal force to end the threat, just like with real-life law enforcement. Now, the issue here is that in most scenarios, contrary to early access AI, the suspects are extremely aggressive and will rarely surrender from flashbangs and other devices. Right now, there's talk of a glitch actually that currently raises the suspect's morale instead of lowering it when hit with flashbangs, causing them to push you and be even more aggressive. Now, with this, in almost every encounter, the suspects pose a threat to officers, in which the SWAT AI will immediately engage the suspects instead of attempting to use any type of less lethal device. This makes managing officer mental health more challenging. Officers will go through 4 different states of mental health statuses: content, anxious, stressed, and crisis. You can choose to send your officers to therapy, which will lower their mental status back to content. However, this will take a minimum of 3 missions until they are able to return to service. Sending your officers to therapy is only one of the 2 options to lower their overall mental state. The other option is to complete a mission with as many arrests as possible. I noticed that gaining an S rank on a mission following a more aggressive mission with less suspects arrested increased their mental health all the way from stressed to content. So technically, you can balance out your officer's mental state by allowing your officers to be more aggressive during certain missions, but then choosing a more or less lethal approach in the following mission to reset their mental status. You can even choose to repeat missions as well. For example, one mission that a lot of players have been choosing to repeat to assist with this is the gas station mission, as it is one of the more easier missions. Repeating missions can also be good for ranking up your officer's skills. Picking a skill like S-bags, for example, will allow your officers to manage their stress better and allow you to be more aggressive during missions. Choosing officers with certain skills will assist with your overall optimal performance in missions. My recommendation is to choose officers with both traits that assist with less lethal type clears, as well as more aggressive type clears. For less lethal, you could run a combination of the pacifier trait, the intimidator trait, and the negotiator trait. For lethal runs, you could do veteran, S-bags, armorer, and nutritionist. Now these are just examples based off of what I've been running in my commander mode campaign. Keep in mind this is based off of the idea that you are repeating quite a few missions to level up the traits of multiple different officers. The idea with commander mode is to replay a lot of missions to not only level up the traits, but also to manage their mental health. It's an incentive to utilize those skills your officers have to have a more optimal performance in your missions. Either way, hopefully you guys learned something that can assist you with your commander mode campaign. Thank you guys. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments, and we'll see you in the next video.